presenter here at our GATE Summit event. I would like you to join me in welcoming to the stage from Spire Research and Consulting, ladies and gentlemen, Lee Jo James. Lee Jo.
No, sure. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for the warm welcome. Yeah. No problem. Thank you. Hi. A very good morning to all. It's truly a privilege and an honor to be part of the GATE's ICT Summit channel. I feel thrilled to be here. It's great to be part of this organization as we talk about cloud computing. To host an organization at this, to host an event at this level takes a lot of effort, and hats off to the team, the GATES team, Ashish, Ryan, Wendy, and each one of you who has held up the fort and continue to benchmark the level of the event each year. I represent Spire, Yamada Consulting Spire, and as you may have seen on the hoardings, Saurabh was supposed to be leading this conversation. Unfortunately, due to some emergency issues, he could not be here. Apologies on that front, but I am part of Yamada Consulting Spire, and we are a leading market research and consulting organization that focuses on the emerging markets. Our parent organization, Yamada Consulting, is a Japanese firm which talks and deals a lot in M&A activities as well as financial advisories. Our core capabilities are understanding the entire business ecosystem as well as doing the holistic market environment research. We do a lot of management consulting as well as strategic consulting and knowledge management. That's about us. Today we have joined the conference with a team member, Jebin, who has done the primary and the secondary research for the cloud computing. And as we understand, this is an integral part of the technology that we have right now. Cloud computing has truly transformed, sorry for the scratchy throat, has truly transformed the digital landscape. And it continues to shape our evolving future. Thank you. And continues to evolve, it continues to shape our evolving future. Often known as the driving force behind the fourth industrial revolution, cloud computing continues to change and transform the way we store data, analyze data, and process it. During the course of the presentation, we'll also try to understand what are the challenges and the complexities that are involved in cloud computing. Along with that, we'll also try and understand where India in the whole global spectrum stands in adoption of cloud. We also propose a cloud framework, adoption framework, where we'll try to harness the full potential of cloud computing. To start off, we'll look at the origins of cloud computing. And as you may understand, it is a mashup of three fundamental ideas. To start with, it involves time sharing, which was earlier proposed in 1960s during the mainframe era. And later on, the second critical aspect of cloud computing involves services being provided over a network. And this started happening with the emergence of the internet and the World Wide Web. Later on, we see the third most critical aspect of cloud computing, which is the services as a utility. And this idea was proposed by John McCarthy, who's also known to have coined the word artificial intelligence. He proposed this radical idea in the early 1950s during a speech in MIT. However, at that time, a brilliant idea, it was way ahead of its time. Later on, we see during the 2000 period that companies like Zoho, Salesforce led and pioneered SaaS businesses. And right now we see cloud providers integrating AI and machine learning into services and into the platforms. As we had a brilliant speech yesterday by Mr. Vasu, He explained the potential, the true potential of generative AI. And it will continue to change and evolve each and every application. The way we do businesses, the way we live our lives, it has that great potential. To quickly look at the emerging cloud computing trends, we'll see that, as we've already spoken about the generative AI aspect, there is quantum computing, there is serverless computing, Internet of Things. These are one of the key trends that we observed during our research that we did by our interactions with industry leaders and experts. And sustainability and green cloud computing. This is a separate segment. And I believe yesterday, Mr. Shiva, during his session, mentioned about the aspect of ESG. Many companies are moving and want to understand what is the impact that the organization makes on the environment. And this is a critical aspect as we move towards in the next era. Cloud computing requires a lot of energy to sustain, and we must ensure that we use an efficient ecosystem to build around it. As we move on, I just want to explore as to why cloud computing spread its wings across industries and technologies. One of the important reasons why it is because of scalability. As we can see here, this is one of the earliest photos shared by Mike Krieger, co-founder of a photo-sharing app. And you may all know this app. And one of the key reasons why this app was able to scale up so drastically, and within 3 months, it went from 0 to million, is because of the power of cloud computing. As you may have guessed by now, this app is Instagram. And we are all aware that it's become a part and parcel of our smartphone now. Cloud computing has many other benefits, and companies, startups like Instagram and other companies were the true beneficiaries of early adopters of cloud. During our survey, we also realized, and we also pointed out and asked our respondents regarding one of the most important aspects of client-vendor partnership. And scalability and elasticity continues to be one of the top priorities and the parameters. Moving on, I quickly want to explore the different type of cloud deployment models. As we may also be aware of public, private cloud, there are other types and different deployment models that are coming across, which includes multi-cloud and hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud includes a mix of private and public cloud. And here we see that data and organizations which have sensitive data can keep their data in the private side and as well have accessible data on the public side of the cloud. This is a more cost-efficient way of operating businesses. We also see a transition towards multi-cloud environments where organizations use multi-cloud providers to meet their specific needs. In terms of looking at the cloud services and the offerings, we have multiple offerings in terms of a service model. And this is the truly revolutionary idea that was proposed by John McCarthy earlier, and that has transformed the way the businesses operate. We have SaaS, we have PaaS, which is platform as a service, and then we have infrastructure as a service. And one of the key ideas that differentiates this is in terms of the customization that it gives the developers, the end customers that they need. In platform as a service, it enables developers to build, deploy, and manage applications. Similarly, in infrastructure, it provides virtualization as computing resources. We also have different models coming up recently, and it is more towards a customized solution that the clients are requiring and trying to understand from their requirements, such as DBaaS, which is database, and FaaS, which is function as a service. As we can see, it allows customers to develop, run, and manage applications. And a good example of this is the AWS Lambda. As you may be using Alexa as a device, it enables you to create skills on that particular Alexa device, and it leverages AWS's Lambda to do this. And the potential is limitless and endless here. Next, having seen the potential and the offerings that cloud provides, we must also acknowledge the conundrums and the challenges, the complexities that are involved with cloud. Based on our interactions with industry experts and the respondents that we have, these are some of the few challenges that we came across for cloud computing. Security and privacy. This is especially related to cloud companies which have cloud data on a public cloud. Then we have integrating challenges such as integrating cloud platforms used within an organization. Compliance and regulatory issues have continued to crop up with cyber threats and more compliance coming in the technology. This is another challenge that many organizations have suggested. In terms of vendor lock-in, we are all aware of the vendor lock-in and the service legal agreements that are extremely complex, that make it very challenging for companies to adopt cloud. These are some of the primary challenges that we observed during our discussion. But moving on to the next aspect of cloud, which may be more relevant to the audience here, is the economic leap, the potential that cloud has to show in India. Where do we lie on a global scale regarding cloud adoption? As we can see here, the revenue in public cloud market is projected to be close to a $600 billion industry. In terms of India, where it lies, we're close to 7.5 billion. And this data is provided by Statista. And if you look at it, we're close to a little above than 1% of the terms in terms of revenue. There is a large gap that needs to be filled. And if we compare it with other economies, mature economies such as the US and the Singapore markets, we are still lagging behind. And closer, if you look at the BRICS nation as well, looking at South Africa and Brazil, we are still at a very nascent stage in adoption of cloud. Right now, it is this audience that will ensure if we need to propel ourselves to become a $1 trillion digital economy, if we need to be there on the top 3 in terms of GDP, we have to ensure that we take this opportunity that we have present right now. And there are multiple factors that came across during our research that we are heading towards that economy. We have to ensure that we guide organizations based on their requirements, the specific requirements, to have a strategic focus and to have a well-defined framework. And that framework is what I'm going to talk about next. Based on our interactions and the research and the studies that we conducted, we came across these 4 critical aspects for organizations in terms of an adoption framework. Partnership ecosystem. I believe during the start of the conference itself, this was one of the critical ideas that has been floated around, and it seems to be the thread that ties the entire event at Gates here. Partnership ecosystem. As we see, in one of the questions that we asked our respondents in terms of common goals that come from partnership, we realized that possessing capability to promptly launch new features is one of the primary parameters that was suggested during the survey. In terms of partnership ecosystem, it helps us in terms of a diverse expertise to bring along and forge strategic and collaborative alliances. Innovation acceleration and enhanced services are some of the other features that will help in a partnership ecosystem. To understand this better, we'd like to share a case study that we came across, which was of an upskilling platform where they had a challenge of developing real-world problems to their students. And one of the solutions that came up was a SaaS lab from the cloud provider. The students were able to practice and assess abilities and to have a ready-to-use cloud service. This resulted in a 45% growth in the revenue and also 40% reduction in the time to reach new markets. And these are critical factors that redefine in the evolving market that we are in the current scenario. Looking at the next critical factor is the implementation and the execution part. We have evolved from a waterfall approach to agile methodologies. And this again was reiterated by Mr. Vasu yesterday. And agile methodology is one of those methodology that will help businesses evolve in a rapid and a fast manner. To understand this better, we have a case study where an automobile component company had to manage their inventory data in a more seamless function. Their solution was provided again by a SaaS provider, where they launched a new platform and transferred all the legacy data and had real-time data analytics looking at and providing their sales representatives. This resulted in a 12x turnover in comparison to the normal inventory, and also the same feature, which is about bringing new solutions to the industry, to the end customer at a faster pace. The next important category, component of the framework is customer experience. As we know, customer experience continues to be one important element that continues to linger on for irrespective of the industry and irrespective of the organization. Having a customer-centric approach, feedback-driven innovations, and loyalty and retention is instrumental in developing the customer experience. In one of the questions that we had in the survey, we asked, how often do clients scale up? And the majority clients that scale up highlighted that customer experience and building a cost-effective solution are the primary parameters behind scaling up. Looking at the final metric that we have is measuring success. In any innovation or in any change, it is important that we keep a close watch in terms of the metrics that we measure, in terms of the partnerships that we have. And the survey that we floated, we had one question where we asked what are the key parameters of tracking success. The main parameter that stood out in this survey was partners considered novel solutions that evolved for the client as a key parameter for tracking success of the partnership. These were some of the companies that participated in that survey, and the cloud vendors and the cloud platforms that they use. To summarize, the adoption framework that has been proposed includes implementation, execution, measuring success, and customer experience. And the foundational level of all these is the partnership ecosystem. And I believe Gates presents this opportunity to help and propel the partnership ecosystem that is there. With that, I would like to conclude the keynote. Thank you.
Lijo, thank you very much. You cover, obviously, a lot of ground in a short time. This presentation in some form is going to be available as a PDF for download. Yes. So all channel partners using the Connect will be able to download the content after the event. You are not alone. You had mentioned your colleague was the research lead on cloud. And can I ask you to stand up? And thank you very much for all of your contributions.
Sure. Thank
you for joining us.
Yeah, and we look forward to meeting one-on-one for anyone who wants to understand better based on our methodologies and our research.
That's right. So you're with us for the course of the day, and they do welcome the opportunity if you want to dive a little bit deeper, one-on-one conversations over the course of the day.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Can leave that with me.
Yes.
Okay, our next presentation is going to be by HPE, but first we're going to kick off with a video. If you could cue that video up, please.
The public cloud wasn't built to handle everything, but that's okay, because now you can bring a new kind of cloud experience to all your apps and data, no matter where they live. Meet HPE GreenLake, the open and secure edge-to-cloud platform. Select the cloud services you want, choose where to deploy, and get the right expertise. Join 1,000 top enterprises on the open edge-to-cloud platform and modernize your IT, experiences, and business. HPE GreenLake, the cloud that comes to you.
Our speaker doesn't need much by way of an introduction. He is director and board member at Cevex Technologies and a key partner of HPE in the country. Join me in welcoming to the stage, if you would please, Mr. Atul Gar. Atul.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, Jaipur. Breakfast अच्छा था? खाया सबने ना? Okay. By the way, I am very, very happy to be here because my roots come from Jaipur. I studied 25 years I was in Jaipur. All my schooling in Jaipur, my engineering from those days is REC, MREC, now it's MNIT. So I'm a pass out of the institute here itself. Very happy to see kachoris yesterday because, you know, I love all that. So thanks to Ashish and Ryan for the wonderful breakfast I had yesterday. I'm standing here in front of you to present on behalf of HPE. Exactly, and you know, before I start, maybe a small raise of hands. How many of you do business with HPE? Okay, I can see around 40%, 35–40% of you doing business, which is great. One more raise of hands. How many of you do anything in cloud? Wow, almost 75–80% of you. That's great. So I think the whole session which has been going around has been talking a lot about cloud. My predecessors have been talking about cloud. I'll be talking to you, and maybe some of you might have heard me earlier. My presentation is two parts, and I'm repeating this. One, which is what HPE GreenLake is doing and reforming the cloud business in the country. And the second is very, very interesting, which is something for you. So I'll pause when I flip over 3 slides, and I conclude, and when I start something, what is in it for you, which is something very, very specific for you. You just pay attention, and probably that's going to be a game changer in the country because that's likely to get launched early next month. So that's what it's all about. So, you know, if you look from a business point of view, you see that the traditional approach, all of our customers, we have been growing and seeing, if somebody wants to get into the business, they have to get into the CapEx approach, they have to install all the stuff at their end, and they have to make sure they understand the technology, they have very clear understanding of the requirements, invest substantial capital. But I mean, it has its own advantages, correct? It's here at back door, the data sits next to you. You don't want, a lot of companies don't want to go to cloud because of a variety of reasons, and they have all this on-prem activity which is available. And that's why the legacy continues as well. I mean, there's a lot of shift which happens on the cloud. The entire compliance piece, all of that is taken care of it. If you see, the public cloud has its own advantages. It's OpEx, you pay per use, whatever you want to use. Very agile, very quick to, scale up, scale down, what do you want to do. Many services, solutions, apps, you can keep on moving and optimally use, and you pay exactly for what you do. But it has its own challenges, and you can see, I mean, whether it's to do with the data privacy, you don't want the data to be there, it may have to do something to do with latency, sometimes the speeds are not so good and you're not so happy, you're not connected to the net, you can't access some of the data, so you need to be connected, otherwise you can't use all the application. So it has its own issues as well. What HPE is trying to do is bring to you the best of both the worlds. So what it's doing, all the advantages of the public cloud and the on-prem actually comes here. Now, what are they doing, if I just to share with you, is actually bringing the cloud in your premise. You have the benefits of OpEx, pay-per-use, but the whole infrastructure sits in your premises. You are able to use whatever you want, and you have the data right sitting next to you, but you pay as per the capacity. And the beauty of the whole infrastructure is such that they are also making sure that you pay for what you use. In fact, you ask for X dollars of inventory, they will give you 1.2x dollars of inventory, more storage, something more to in compute side and so on. What you use, you will pay. But if you are not using, you're not going to pay. So the beauty, they bring it to you is very agile, it's scalable, it's next to you, and that's why. And there are a lot of customers, and I'm just speaking in favor of HPE right now, that the beauty of the cloud is, and we all know that significant transition of end customers happening on the cloud. But one thing which is troubling to some extent to a lot of companies who have moved big time into the cloud is the dollars. It looks very small initially, but when you start paying large sums, it looks very, very large sums. And sometimes you feel, is it optimized? If it is not optimized, am I paying too much? My per month payout is so much. Can I come out of it? No. You got into it too deep? Yes. So, it's like, and I was talking very jocularly yesterday, we were getting in, everybody talks. Yeah, Abhimanyu ke Chakravyuh ki tarah, and I don't know if everybody understands Hindi, otherwise I'll continue in English. घुसना तो आसान है, घुस जाओ अंदर, निकलने में तकलीफ है. So once you are in, correct? I mean, and that's how all the OEMs want, that's how all the cloud customers want. You have got in, now you are in. Everybody is getting targets. Can you do this more? Can you use, why don't you look at Sir DR? Why don't you look at Sir Backup? Why don't you look at this? People will come to you and they'll ask you to increase consumption, and customers would possibly at some point of time, the consumption continues to go and it becomes very large. If you go by the statistics, almost 16 to 17% of the people who have gone to the cloud are wanting to move back as well. And that's where GreenLake comes. But they want the benefits of the cloud. They don't want the CapEx coming to them, but they want things to be right next to them. They want to make sure the data is protected, and that's where GreenLake comes. GreenLake gives you the infrastructure right next to the cloud with complete connectivity, scalability, agility, whatever you want. So that's the beauty, and I was just touching, just to give you a perspective what they're doing. Now, the best part is this is end-to-end. This is an edge-to cloud platform. It's completely elastic. If you see the bottom one, which is the network compute storage, where the infra, the entire stuff comes at the customer premise. It's completely managed. The whole planning is done with the HPE team. And then you have complete management of all services. I mean, HPE has humongous amount of services I'll cover in the slide, which is going to come. You can pick and choose to deploy what services. They are able to monitor the usage of the cloud. How is it working? What is optimal? What is suboptimal? How you can use your analytics to advise, to move on to your business. There are multiple services. If you see the extreme right column on that, they have advisory services, they manage services in the business, obviously without compromising on the security piece and compliance piece. So this is a very interesting way, and I must share with you, it's gaining significant traction in the country. I attended an event around 2 months back in Bangalore, and they celebrated one of the huge milestones in India, because India is now one of the fastest growing GreenLake country for HPE worldwide. As I mentioned to you, this is completely managed for you right from deployment stage, provisioning stage, monitoring how the health of the business is happening, complete update of firmwares, in terms of new versions rolling out, that's all coming to you automatically. You can scale the capacity. Assuming you are likely to run out, I mean, the new infra can again come from HPE and be deployed. Again, they make sure that it's given 20% extra. The beauty of the whole stuff is that HPE is very closely connected to you in the entire rollout of the platform and the services which you are wanting to deploy. So they stand by you, throughout this journey, because ultimately the infra belongs to them because you are using. There are two types of models available, that if a customer wants at the end of, say, 5 years, he wants to own the infra, he can. If he wants to return the infra and he wants to refresh the infra, I mean, that's a part of the program as well. I mean, they can completely refresh the infra as well. So that's how it works. It's very personalized and completely managed and supported by HPE. And I mentioned to you this is the local buffer which they provide, I mean, which is the scalability piece. I mean, you can obviously scale the business very quickly as you want, the usage going up, and the buffer is supported by the HPE. These are different services, what you see. I mean, almost, they have globally very large bouquet of services. In India, around 17 services, what you see right now are available, but I mean, you would shortly see the whole bouquet of services going to be available right in the country itself. So from a customer point of view, whatever you see here is all available, be it containers, compute, besides all of that, virtual desktops and so on and so forth. Now, this is the second part of my presentation. Whatever I spoke to you just now is a large infra, an end customer wanted, and that got installed at his place. One of the downsides now of that solution, if I have to say so, and why I'm saying in the favor of the cloud here, is that a customer comes and says, oh, I'm fine, but I can't buy such a large infra and then have it in my space and manage and do it for you. HPE has tied hands with Savix. And what they have done now, in this scenario, we have bought the large infra from HPE. The entire infra which we have bought can still be used by the end customers, like what you do today with AWS or Azure. They have the infra, they have the services, they have the data centers, and you sell all the solutions. Can I have a raise of hands? How many of you selling public clouds here? Okay, quite a few of you. So all the public cloud, what you have today, and you sell all the services which these hyperscalers have brought into the country, is scaling the adoption in the country, and we're seeing mushrooming of data centers. While the hyperscalers are there, the others are also there. What I'm about to unveil here is something which is for you, I told you. As I move, you should see what is it all about. So this I won't touch because many of you know, but very quickly I will talk. I mean, we all know there's a massive expansion of data centers happening in our country, be it Microsoft. I mean, they are opening. We all know what Reliance is doing, Reliance Jio. How many of you know Reliance is going to launch some, very, very cost-effective services and PCs and solutions very quickly. They have the connectivity. They have now joined hands with Azure, and they have very large data centers which will come up. But I'm saying all these companies, Microsoft, AWS, GCP, continue to overinvest in the country on data centers. They are seeing huge potential in the country. If you see, the next level, you see Adani's of the world. You see, I mentioned Reliance of the world, L&T's of the world. I've just named few. They're all investing into the country. The next ones, we all know entities of the world, Control S, Yota, SIFI, STT, all of them. And I know some of the partners as well. I mean, some of you are private hosters as well. You have your own small DCs and you are running. This is mushrooming. This is growing. We're all seeing this is happening. People are wanting to move to the cloud and more OpEx, based services. Some of you who are not on the cloud, and this is the last point which I'm sharing with you, whether you like it or not, the movement is happening. I mean, either you become a part of it and milk the way the business is happening, but otherwise, today a lot of partners go and sell servers and they're very happy that they sold so much. Maybe at some point of that, customer says, sorry, enough, I'm now moving to the cloud. So if you are on the cloud, then he continues to remain with you, otherwise he'll move away from you. So I think it's important for you to look if you're not doing cloud. But if I have to say, what is your future in cloud? I mean, from a channel point of view, from your point of view, if you see today, your biggest strength, if I understand right, your biggest strength is your customers. Every single OEM here comes to you because you have your customers. Cisco is here because they see Gates is bringing so many partners. More than partners, they will bring so many end customers, correct? So your biggest strength, Zoho is here. Why are they here? They are here because your strength, they need you because to get connected with hundreds of end customers of you. Am I right? Yeah. If that's the case, and your customer is moving to the cloud, so far is your customer, he's moving to the cloud, assuming he has moved to Amazon or he has moved to Azure, you feel he's your customer. How long? Moment, because service provider is Azure, consumption is end customer. Effectively, at some point of time, you have become the broker of the marriage between the two, correct? So the billings are happening directly, the provision happens directly from here. At some point of time, you'll feel that you're losing your customer because he's getting all services, everything done directly from the hyperscaler itself. To an extent that even the hyperscalers may come and tell you, net new logo, the margin is more. Get new loads on the cloud, you get more money. The bread is more buttered, not on renewal. The bread is more buttered on net new business on the cloud. That's what happens. So effectively, what I see from channel point of view, the channel is losing their customers to the cloud. You are selling public offerings, which are whatever available in the clouds, may not be the best fit if that is what is available. If a VM is available of a particular size, the next VM is the next size. You have to fit between the t-shirt size XL and L. But the t-shirt size, if it is between L and XL, maybe there's a problem. Because you try and fit on the services which are available on the cloud to the customer. I mean, this is the best available for you, sir. You will scale. This is the premium, sir. I think you should take this. This is very good, sir. And you will try and do. So you would sell offerings which are available on the cloud. If I go to the next one, from a strategy point of view, I mean, each one of you and each market which you come from and each type of customers you cater to, you have your own strategy. You cater to pharma, you cater to ITS, you cater to manufacturing, depending on what customers somebody is looking for some services. Maybe some of you are selling your own CRM or some solution or some space on some services. You have your own services. Today, when you go there, largely, you will have, it may fit maybe 80% to what you are doing and what they are doing, but maybe 15-20% it may not exactly fit the way you want to drive your cloud journey. So you effectively sell the strategy and the solutions which these hyperscalers bring to you. Now, if you see today, I mean, from an end customer point of view, he has options. He has an on-prem, which I just told you what he can do, and he can do this. But the downside of this is, I mean, if you continue to remain on-prem, as I was telling you, the customer you will lose because he will move to the cloud, and every customer is moving to the cloud. But if you are going to the off-prem, which is you're going to hyperscalers, and then how long the customer would say you, he'll be effectively a hyperscaler customer, as I just told you. So technically, both sides, customer is moving away. Either he's going to hyperscaler or if you continue to be legacy, he's going on to the cloud. Now what we are attempting to do, and this is where we are pitching in, this is called my cloud. My cloud means your cloud. If all your companies, I'm saying you get, if it is possible, that you have a cloud which is from an infrastructure point of view as good as these hyperscalers. The brand is yours, the website is yours, okay? And the customer gets the same experience where you don't pay even a single penny, for example, assuming if in a hypothetical world, if it is possible, then you would love to get the customer on your cloud. Am I right or not? Because why would you want? Because if the same quality of service, same thing is available, and if it's somebody can come on your cloud, you would want. Now this is what is an humble attempt from Savic's side right now. And I'll share with you. So this is what I was talking. What happens if you can create your own public cloud? You can have your customers, you can bundle your services, you want to sell your solution, somebody selling a backup from Veritas, I'll sell backup. I sell from Veeam. I'll sell a backup solution of Veeam. I'm a Veeam customer, I'm a platinum customer, I get so many rebates. You decide what solution you want to sell on that cloud, what OEM you want to have his solutions on the cloud and take it ahead, assuming if you can do that. But the experience should not suffer. The customer experience, which is of very importance, should be as good as what he was enjoying on a public cloud, because that you don't want to compromise. And then, if I have to talk to you, and this is the point which I was making, you don't have to worry of delivering this cloud. Now, you just do, you manage your customers, which is your core strength. Now, here what you see, if you do this, you would never lose a customer to a service provider, assuming you are able to do it. Also, if all this is there, your margins also take an upswing. So if you make X percentage, maybe it becomes 1.5X or maybe 2X. If your margin grows up significantly, your pricing is very strong. So, if you are doing a VM at a certain price on a AWS, you are able to do at much lesser price. As I mentioned to you, you can have all these services and products where you have create your own catalog and have your services. That can be very, very ideal. Now, exactly if we have to do this, then what we are doing here, and I'll just touch in 2 minutes. Savix has gone ahead and bought a large infra, hosted in a tier 4 data center in the country. So data resides in the country. They're dedicated ISP lines, high ISP, very high bandwidth lines taken, which are available now. And the software layer, which will talk to the infra to create, is a company from Switzerland, which Savix has signed up, which is available now. And it is white labeled and given to you. Now, technically what happens, you can set up VMs, you can set up your price, you can set up end customer price, you can do provisioning for end customer. All the end customers can see their live consumption, what they are doing, what VMs they have created, what is the usage. Savix may have some services, as I mentioned to you. We may launch small bouquet of services. Maybe I'm not saying we are competing with any of the hyperscalers here. We are just launching one service right now, which is VM as a service, nothing else. But you would find there are a lot of OEMs talking to us. Maybe you would find security as a service coming very quickly. You will find backup as a service coming very quickly. You will find DR coming very quickly. It has all the SPLA licenses. When you do that, you can select the machine, you can select Windows, you can select Linux, and the pricing would come, we will share with you your pricing, but you can set up your end customer pricing, and then customer can take it. So the best part here is that we did a small experimentation in 3 major cities, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. And I must share with you that we got a phenomenal response because we wanted to bounce it first, that if the partner ecosystem, their pre-sales teams, they are comfortable, they had a lot of questions, we tried to answer it. 24/7 technical support is available instead of a chatbot support. So if Sunday 3 a.m. something is not working, you don't have to go on a chatbot. There's a physical guy who's available to answer your question. So there are a lot of technical investment which has happened at the back end, people available to support if anything happens, and this can take off. Now, around 60 partners in the country, we have given them white labeled cloud already for testing right now. As I told you, it's going live next month. So those companies are already using, they are creating some sandbox environments, they are using and testing it out. But this is nothing but actually a public cloud coming at your doorstep. And this is what is getting launched next month in the country. First initiative for partner cloud. I'm calling my on your behalf is your cloud actually. And you take it ahead and you can brand it the way you want. So this is what HPE and Savix have aligned to take it very strongly into the market, and you would see many services coming here. Just a summary, as I mentioned to you, you would be able to retain your customers with you, obviously profit margins. I'm also sharing with you one more point, that because it is your store and you are using only infra, whatever services you want to offer, you can create your own pricing, you can create your own catalog, you can create your own products, and you can even have your services that if a customer is going to migrate, if he's picking up this VM, or he wants to do this activity, he wants to move the SAP from here to here, you have your migration services queue also attached. You can price it, and the end customer can buy directly there itself, and then you can have attached your services in terms of bringing the customer on the cloud as well. It is your cloud, and while Savix may have a lot of products and services, you want to pick half of it, nothing of it, full of it on your website, do that. Because on the main master, we would have many products and services available. but you have complete liberty in choosing what you want to take it and how you, that's what I said, you decide your strategy, you decide. I was telling you that I was yesterday in Bombay, there's a partner in Bombay, I'm not naming, but he said, Gaur Saab, I have a case of 200 VDI. Aapka cloud launch ho gaya kya? I said, next month it's going live, my person is using. He says, I'm thinking I'll buy Citrix license. The other guy said, no, you should buy ACOPS license, that's cheaper. Put them on those 200 machines, we'll take those VMs, put it up and give VDI solution to the customer. I mean, go ahead. So it gives you complete liberty as to how you want to do, what you want to do, and take it ahead with your customers. So it's a completely ready framework from our point of view. We have invested all of it, but we will not get even a single penny profit because we have invested. I've already paid HP, I've already paid the data center, I've already paid the orchestration software layer created and paid. What for? It is for partner. Only if the partners adopt to this cloud and start selling this to the end customers, then only Savix gets benefited. I mean, our infra starts getting used, otherwise it doesn't. So that's how it works. I mean, we want to take it ahead very strongly. We're very encouraging initial, things which are coming from the partner, but I'll rest my story here. I am always available to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Atul, thank you. Atul, thank you.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, a lot of the communication before the event has been around the ONDC opportunity, Open Network for Digital Commerce. The initiative aims to level the playing field for millions of SMEs across India. It can be potentially as transformative as the unified payment interface was for payments in India, doing the same for digital commerce. We're going to continue the conversation on stage, starting with the view from 300,000 feet, so to speak. We're going to bring forward the managing director and CEO of ONDC, and then we're going to keep him on stage and bring a series of vendors and channel partners on stage to talk more specifically about that opportunity, what it means for B2B, and specifically how channel partners can seize that opportunity. So we're going to start the ONDC opportunity with our keynote presentation. I would like to welcome to the stage the CEO and MD at ONDC, Mr. Koshi, if you'll join us on stage, please. Welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me here. Open Network for Digital Commerce is a new initiative, first of this kind in the world, coming from India. Since we had been in operation for the last few months, about a year, I'm sure some of you would have heard of it, or many would have heard of it. Some of you would have done some experience with it, and very few of you would have had any big impact in the business or in your life. So in that sense, probably the depth of understanding the possibilities and how it would affect your life in future could be limited, because that's the experience I've had with talking to lots of people. But so let me just tickle your imagination by saying that with the advent of ONDC, and as the years go, in the coming few years it gets established, e-commerce as it exists today will cease to be relevant. So I'm making this bold statement, and just to tickle your imagination, and in this context probably I will recommend that you listen to a 30,000 feet big picture view. Then we'll have some discussion with the panel, and then later any of you wanting to know a little more can sort of get from us. Probably you are aware that India had been sort of leading in the idea of digital public infrastructure since the last few years. This is all about changing the digital landscape with the idea of a utility, a digital public infrastructure as a foundation on the top of which people like you, smart businessmen like you, can build variety of business and not limit this landscape to few large players, sort of egging out the opportunities for many to participate in a reasonable fashion. I'm sure that you would have heard, I'm not going through in detail, some of the early intervention in this line that we have had. You know about the foundational ID that we did as what we call the UIDI, which is, started about 13 years ago or so, when the first time in the world we introduced a biometric ID for this scale of, providing people for more than 1.5 billion people. And using that to change the way the, the many activities, economic activities or governmental activities has taken out. In the last, we have provided for 1.5 billion people, almost 1.5 billion people. And it is now using as the means to do any eKYC. And this eKYC is what humongously changed if you look at the private sector and the public sector services. If you look at the way the DBT, direct benefit transfer, that has happened in our country, which used to be a challenge for the government machinery, where one of the old prime ministers commented that about 85% of every rupee that is being spent by the government in direct benefit transfer is wasted, or leaked out during the channel. And whereas today, there is with significant confidence that we can take a view that it's almost 100% finally heads up in the bank account of the beneficiaries. And this also helped, I'm sure that you heard when Reliance joined rolled out their telco, their cell services, it is the eKYC that was made it possible through the Aadhaar that helped them to do 100 million registrations in 6 months' time. And the same thing also helped in what we call the Jan Dhan account, which is actually leading up to the large number of opening a bank account. The most critical thing is the banking inclusion that it sort of all these things helped. The Jan Dhan account and the unified payment instrument, which sort of transformed the way that we do financial transaction. Probably some of you are aware that before the UPI came, we used to do something like 250 million transactions a month, all the digital transactions together. But today, it does something like 10 billion transactions a month, and it is rated to handle about probably 1 billion a day. And that's how, that is sort of scaling up. Same way is the Jan Dhan account, which helped so many bank accounts to be opened. And with this, about more than 50 crore bank account open. With this, our banking penetration rose up from 18% to more than 82% in 6 to 7 years' time. Many of the economists have predicted that such a level of transformation in the banking system will take something like 40 years plus. But in 6 years, this managed. It is all because of the very fundamental idea of digital public infrastructure, a foundation on which smart people can build diverse solutions, we can drive innovations, we can drive specialization, and bring about transformation. So Open Network for Digital Commerce is an idea in the same line, which is the latest in this series of digital public good that is being established here. The idea is about reimagining digital commerce. Okay, make it democratic and equitable. And what does it mean? I'm sure that all of you know in any transaction there are two sides. One side is about money, movement of money from the buyer to the seller. So what UPI did was all about that. Modernizing, transforming the way money is moving from the buyer to the seller, giving diverse opportunity and diverse means, and unbundling the different building blocks. As you saw that, when you go into any of these Paytms and Google Pays of the world, they take your information, but your money is not stored with them. Money is still stored with the banker. So it's like how all these building blocks are nicely stitched together using a protocol, the idea, that's the idea of UPI. So the ONDC works on exactly the similar idea on the other side of the transaction, which is about goods and services. So let me just quickly look at how it works. The left side represents the current way in which the e-commerce work, and the right side is what we imagine would be the way it will happen in the which is happening in the ONDC, and we expect that should be the way in which a majority of digital commerce will happen in the coming years. So as you see in the left side, for a simplicity, I've sort of portrayed the platforms in the digital commerce with only two building blocks. One is a building blocks left side, which helps the seller, somebody who has something to offer, to interface the seller to make their catalog visible to the buyers. And the right side is an interface for the buyers, which is what most of us use when we try to buy something, is the buying interface. But I know all of you guys know that there are many more building blocks. But for the simplicity purpose, I'm just using these two. So today what is there is that each of the platforms use proprietary protocol, which means each of them are what we call the walled gardens. So if you are a seller on one platform, you can be visible only on the buyers of that platform. And if you as a seller want to be visible to the buyers on both platforms, then you will have to do a digital, legal, contractual process integration with two of them. And then you know how painful if you want to increase that way. And that's the reason, if you would see, the market has become heavily concentrated. Whoever has spent some decent amount of resources to get a significant user base in the very short period of time has a stranglehold on the total market. That's why you would see people jumping into some segment. You would look at the consumer goods, you have two main ones, two or three, food, two or three, mobility, two or three, and so on and so forth. So what we are expecting is that the idea of this proprietary interlinkages should go, and we should allow the building blocks to be unbundled and make them all talk to each other using open protocol. So that's what we are representing in the right side, which means that if you are a seller on any of the platform made by you or by a third party, should be visible to any of the buyers on any of the buying platform using the same protocol. And so essentially the idea of open network is nothing but two simple principles. One is unbundling, other is interoperability. So I'm just trying to give you where we are quickly. We started last year because it's a network, there's no central system that I can make and tell come and use. Like if you're setting up a bank, that's what you would do. Whereas we are just a choreographer. We created this, the protocol, and we created the house rules of the club. And then we asked people to come and join. Last April, we started with a few merchants coming from few cities, helping their friends and relatives to do some transaction to demonstrate it works. And then in January, we said, okay, now let us open it to the public in Bangalore and try to make them get used to the idea. Because this is, and it has to organically grow. It's not the one central system join and some prime minister opens it and some come and do. So we have, since January when we did, we had, totally we did 1,000 transactions a month. And in September, we did about 3.3 million transactions. We started with two domains, and they added a third one, which was grocery, food, and mobility, because we felt that that is the most painful and difficult dealing with grocery. All of them are hyperlocal. All of them are dealing with very small merchants. Taxi is taxi driver. Grocery is the small grocers, and food, of course, is restaurant with a delivery time that is needed about an hour or so. So we seeing this, and what really went off like a rocket to us, the mobility. Just in 4 cities, they do something like 100,000 rides a day, and the others, together are doing 50,000. On peak, we did 53,000 last weekend, and we are expecting this to grow. And in terms of merchants, we have, this is the transaction which I explained to you, and we expect that it is going to sort of, like in any of such network, it will grow slowly, and we expect that it is to sort of probably reach one point from the today of 100,000 plus transaction to at least 1.8 crores or 180 lakhs transaction is something that we are expecting to happen. The supply density also, we have something like 200,000 merchants, of which about 100,000 plus are small merchants, and essentially the taxi drivers are the remaining as small merchants. But what is good is that there is humongous amount of traction that's happening. In fact, we just launched B2B, which is what is more interesting to most of you, in the last month. And we saw already some 40,000 transactions from 2 participants. And I also know that there are some of our partners who are here. Thank you for being here. And then, last week when I did a workshop with the potential participants in the B2B segment, we had a humongously fantastic participation, of variety of segments, from electronics to fashion to and so on and so forth, and also logistics players. So it's like, so what is giving me a lot of confidence is the wide range of participation. While all of them are fully up and running, are not fully up and running, a lot of them are on the way. And we believe that while in the B2C there is a lot of action, all of us are heavy users, but still it's about less than 10%. And when it comes to seller side, it's just about 2%. And that what we are seeing is that in the B2B, it's even worse. Because of the standard protocol and the standardization enabling everybody to be interoperable, the variety of participants are coming together. If I just give you the kind of people who are sort of coming together to make it a success, it's like if you look at the government side, whether it is the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of small and medium enterprises, all of them coming toward with the schemes at the center side and the state side, with schemes to help their ecosystem, their stakeholders to leverage the system. So, because as you know that it is, it forms a very brilliant part of the bigger vision of digital economy, and on account of this, they all now have a common theme to work on. So, and that is something that enabling. That's why even if you look at, while this is set up as a completely private company with banks and financial institutions participation, it has got a complete endorsement of Government of India, and to sort of being an infrastructure utility are also willing and supportive of developing the, fine-tuning even the policy framework to help. So like I said, our long-term ambition is that every product or service which is catalogable, keep that in mind, any product or service which is catalogable will be available in this open network using ONDC protocol. There will be diverse kind of buying platforms who would come and help their kinds of buyers to buy what is relevant. If you have realized that now the conflict of interest between the buyer and the seller in the regular platform is gone. Buying platforms, loyalty only to the buyers. Unlike today, what happens is any platform which is a seller and buyer, I have a very cynical way of saying the strategy. I would use the same strategy if I'm running a platform, is that the strategy is all about drug the buyer and push the seller. And then you are able to maximize your interest. Here, it becomes different. The buyer applications are focusing on the buyer, and they are going to help them to be the buyer's agent. And the seller applications are helping their sellers and be their agent. And that's why you would see humongous amount of innovation and specialization that could happen with, even the latest tools like AI, etc., could be very smartly used to, do in a focused way. If I lose at the buyer side, you would see established businesses in the digital consumers now are able to give a broader option. If I just give you one interesting example, I don't know how many of you have observed. You know that Ola is a mobility service provider giving car rides. They tried to launch Ola Foods, but it was a pain for them going and tying up all the restaurants. That's why it did not really go forward much. But suddenly they realize if I'm in ONDC, I don't need to go and tie up with any seller because there are smart guys who are bringing all the food guys. So if you look at your Ola interface, you would see ONDC Food. Suddenly he has, as of now, 65,000 merchants, which will become 100,000. And that's not where he's going to start. I'm sure that he will go from ONDC Food to ONDC grocery to and so on and so forth. Because he says that I'm giving complimentary service now. And you would expect similar kind of things. Even bankers are working on it, telcos are working on it. So that is on the people with the digital consumer. Or some smart guys will say, I'm going to do a startup where I expect only 100,000 users or 10,000 users, specialized users. Let's say the Tamilians settled in outside Tamil Nadu, helping them to sort of buy out what is special for Pongal in Delhi, and I'm going to look at what is the cultural nuances for my clients and help them to do that. So you would see, you would see these kind of innovations coming. So what an open network, I'm throwing it up to you, is the possibility of humongous amount of innovation and specialization and the protocols stitching them all together for a seamless experience. Like I said, we started with only few domains and we have broadened a lot more. I'm sort of running through on line of time. The variety of buying platforms or selling platforms you would see are very, very high. The participants, if I just give you small startups to large companies like Google, in fact, probably you would have seen Building for Bharat hackathon just being launched by them, and they're expecting some 100,000 participation, in that one. So from that side to, variety of startups are working. So it is changing the life of small merchants, small weavers. Of course, the reason I'm highlighting that because this is a segment which otherwise was not finding it possible to have a meaningful participation. The big guys are anyway coming by themselves. So this is why you would see endorsement at the highest level, and to give confidence to support comfort to people like you who will feel comfortable from endorsement coming from, the page. It is like, the Antler report says that it is going to create an 80 billion opportunity for startups, and the McKinsey report comes and says you would see probably a 5 times increase in digital commerce in the next few months. Yes. So essentially, if you look at this as integrating all these things together, commerce, mobility, logistics, and finance. So we have, that will also have a significant unbundling of, let's say, product distribution and finance. So we have already published the specifications for credit and insurance, and many of the industries from companies from that segment are also working on it. So all the things we believe will drive towards the digital economy that we are trying. Thank you all, and let me end now. Thank you.
That is the end of your formal presentation, but obviously the conversation is going to continue. In just a moment, I'll bring you back on stage, but I can ask you to join your colleagues who will be with us for the panel discussion in just a moment. I need a few moments to change the furniture here on the stage and to get ready for the panel. Just a brief word about what you're going to see coming up. The ground rules. I have told everyone that there are no prepared remarks, no PowerPoint presentations. This is the business they live and breathe every day, and we want to have a conversation where we can tap into their experiences, their insight, their opinions about the opportunities for ONDC from their perspective as a vendor, as a systems integrator, as an independent third-party expert. We're going to bring them on stage in rapid-fire order. I'm going to ask you all to hold applause until everyone gets settled on stage. We have a few questions to get started, but at some point, if anyone in the audience wants to sound off, if you want to share your opinions, if you want to ask a question, simply raise your hand, okay? We will bring you a microphone and you'll have an opportunity to pose a question to the audience or to make a statement here in the conference. Right in front of you, you see a QR code. Many of you have asked, okay, where do we get started? Well, this QR code will lead you to a link that allows you to register immediately for ONDC. We'll leave this QR code on the screen for just a moment. We also have the QR code printed on the doors as you exit. So if you want to scan this here and register, you can do that now. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a correct number of chairs because that is the number of speakers we've invited to be part of the panel discussion. I'm going to ask them to join me quickly now on stage. One more time, if you would please hold your applause until everyone gets settled up here on the stage. In the second position, I would like to ask Mr. Koshi to join us back on stage. He is, of course, the subject matter expert as the Managing Director and CEO of ONDC. Mr. Koshi, if you'll join us back on stage in the second position right here. Would like to ask the CEO of Cash Technologies, Mohan Rajmani, if you'll join us in the third position on stage. Wanted to ask the Managing Director for Commercial and SMB at Cisco, Shiva Kumar, if you'll join us in the fourth position here on the panel. The Director for Global Alliances and Partnerships at Zoho, Bishan Singh, if you will join us next to Shiva on the stage here. Prabhat Umat, the co-founder and chief revenue officer at BuyNext. If you would take the position on the far right here. And then our moderator for this session, I want to welcome back to the stage the director and board member at Savex Technologies, Atul Gar. If you will join us up here in the anchor position. One more time, these gentlemen have had the opportunity to connect and talk and discuss, but there are no prepared remarks. There are no PowerPoint presentations. It's an opportunity to hear directly from you. It's an opportunity to hear directly from the channel partners who have assembled. So now that everyone is installed on stage, I just want to say briefly, thank you very much for joining us and sharing your insight. And I would ask for a round of applause for these gentlemen for joining us for the panel discussion. Atul, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, good morning, guys. I think we all heard Mr. Koshi about what ONDC is all about. But I think as a group, as an IT industry, we are more keen to know that what is that ONDC can bring to our partners on the table. Is that a fair expectation? Because I'm going to talk on your behalf. So I'm going to ask these experts some of the questions because, keeping in mind that how it can. So maybe, just to begin with, my first question is, how do our channel partners, for example, can sell their products on ONDC?
As I explained earlier, anybody who has anything to sell have exploding opportunity in the open network. But when people like you who are in the information technology business have three kinds of opportunity shaping up. So the way, one is that as you would have explained, I've sort of understood, the digital participation is going to explode in the coming years. And there is going to be significant support, help and schemes and hand-holding and maybe financial support coming on to digital adoption by those who are not digitally empowered. So from the big guys are all there, but if you look at the large number of MSME and so on and so forth, are going to take advantage because many things are going to sort of be there to help them. So that's an exploding opportunity that will build up in the coming years. Option one. Second is some of you are solution providers. I already know that you are there. So where you could be sort of participating as a selling platform or a buying platform on one side, or also helping your existing clients to be either participate as a seller in any of the platforms that you guys have made, or help them to make their system open ONDC protocol compliant. So that is another business opportunity that is shaping up. The third thing is, of course, you guys selling in the network, because with the diverse set of buying platforms coming out, the market reach for any seller registered with any selling platform is going to be higher, and especially many of you are very focused on B2B. And the complementary services of logistics, warehousing, credit, insurance. In fact, the other day we were discussing with some insurance companies that many small enterprises come as a seller in the system. While they have all the good intentions, sometimes some of the risk expose them, some loss here and there. With all fairness, it may not be their malpractice, it could be just accident. But for a small enterprises, it could be really a challenge. In fact, that's why insurance companies are now looking at and say that, hey, can I create a sachetized insurance to address these kind of challenge? And the banking industry is coming and saying now that we have more and more digitally verifiable, digitally signed data available, can we move away and move into what we call flow-based lending and the asset-based lending? So these are the kind of innovation that is shaping up. So for you guys, sky is the limit.
Great. Maybe I would want to elaborate this question a little bit more, or I'll frame it in a little different fashion. And maybe Prabhat, if you can contribute, is, how is that? I mean, today also, these sellers, we have some platforms available in the country already. And, typically they can go and register on that platform and sell. What is that you see differently? What opportunity if, they would be able to get vis-a-vis the platforms they have in the country today? What differentiators ONDC brings onto the table for them?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, today, what ONDC provides as a genuine, unique opportunity is a one-time onboarding and the ability to be discovered across the network. You don't have to go to multiple platforms to register yourself only because you see a quantum of business coming from one specific platform, which may be different from another platform. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to move away from your current platform. It only says that ONDC gives you a much larger opportunity at a fraction of a cost as far as conducting business is concerned. Point number one. Point number two, just adding on to what Mr. Koshi just said right now, as a partner, in some cases, you can turn to be a seller on the ONDC platform where an institutional buyer is looking for certain products that you may have and you may like to sell to them and you would like to be discovered by those customers. In some other cases, you may like to go onto the platform as a buyer to start identifying if there is an unbundling of a product SKU or a lesser minimum order quantity that you can possibly benefit from some of the larger distributors because there are certain requirements that you have. And the fact that you don't need to stitch that entire value chain yourself. The value chain in terms of somebody being able to stand in for defining your creditworthiness, another third entity coming in and saying, okay, I'm going to underwrite this entire transaction and have a parallel engagement with you as a buyer when you need that money to pay for products. All of that is dynamically available and on the fly on ONDC, and that's the intent with which ONDC B2B is intended to be covered. So, effectively summarizing the 2 or 3 points that I made, the idea of discoverability as a seller, the freedom and the ease of identifying a seller when you become a buyer, and third, the ability to rely on third parties who are part of the larger ecosystem, part of the larger network, to be able to provide specific services so that you don't have to stitch everything together. I think that's, in my understanding, what would immediately benefit partners that are available in this room if they want to get onto the B2B framework.
Yeah, thanks, Prabhat. I think that's great summary. Visibility, you get visible, reliability, and then you have a very large audience which is available on ONDC as your customers. Technically, they can come and buy. I think great summary, Prabhat. Maybe Mohan, if you can also, help us understand, because all our partners here are selling institutionalized requirements. They have a lot of products, they have solutions, they have services for corporate. So, from their point of view, what is that you think, they can take it from ONDC platform?
Thank you, Prabhat. So, as a global SI, what we have seen, the greatest opportunity that exists ahead of us is, unlike a typical, traditional proprietary e-commerce platforms, ONDC is really going to democratize the way we look at e-commerce and making it more accessible to channel and partners. As long as we have specific products that could be onboarded onto this platform, it is going to be a lot more discoverable, easier for our customers to access our products and services. If we could catalog it, we could have them. And I think in parallel of what a GEM portal has done for the government procurement, B2B is going to have a huge impact. And there is no big daddy of sorts where we have to pay huge percentages to third parties, as well as the uncertainties that exist with the traditional e-commerce. ONDC is going to make that big kind of sea wave of change. And that's the kind of changes that we look for in our current e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, I think great. So I think Mohan very correctly summarized that services or products which can be commoditized, which you can have a price for, if you put it up as a catalog onto the platform. And I think Prabhat, in the initial question, he very clearly answered that visibility is granted. Mr. Koshi explained as to how this platform is kind of a network of networks, interconnected operability is there. So it gives a tremendous leeway to the partner ecosystem to take there, which probably today is far more tricky if we don't have a platform like that in the country, which gives our partners the ability to take it ahead. I think great. Shiva, maybe you can also talk from the enterprise portfolio you drive in the country. You have many partners and who are selling Cisco products into the country. How do you see the platform bringing benefit to the community?
Sure. So thanks, Atul. I think pretty much I come at a right step wherein I will connect with what Prabhat and then Mohan was saying about how we can make this as institutionalized, B2B, and also how we can help both OEMs on one side and as well as the channels in terms of discoverability. I'll take a simple example, okay, maybe to elucidate more how we can help the partners. As OEMs, we have products, okay? We have products which are identified by the PITs, which is definitely categorized, you can catalog it easily. Mostly the products which are hardware. Okay, take an example, a partner who wants to sell a Cisco firewall, okay? Today, they go and then go in search of the buyers on various platforms other than the traditional modes. If I have to take an example of the ONDC, wherein the channel partners taking a role of sellers, they can get themselves registered on a seller platform for a discoverable product like a Cisco firewall, position it, and also able to get the reach, which is what the biggest challenge for all the OEMs like us, to take the help of the partners and take a platform or a network like ONDC to increase the reach to the customers. So that's as a role as a seller. But to Prabhat's point, as also the channel partners can take a role of the buyer. Okay, as a channel partners, today they buy from the distributors like Savex and the likes. Sometimes they like the services provided by you as a distributor, but they also want the flexibility in terms of the financing by the third party, or insurance by someone else, or a logistics vendor of their choice. Okay? So they have a choice to make on a network like ONDC to pick as which one they want as a seller as well. So for an OEM like Cisco, okay, when the products are ready to be discoverable, it increases the reach, but also gives the flexibility for the partners to play both seller and buyer role, and then use the goodness of the ONDC as a network. Okay, so that's how I visualize in terms of the value that ONDC can bring to both channel partners and also the OEMs like us.
Yeah, great. I think great comments from Shiva. So I am relating to what he's sharing. I was talking to one of the partner here. I'm taking the liberty to name him as well here. So PJ Networks, the gentleman was here. So, and he was talking about, what he just elucidated just now, having the firewalls, having the access point, for example, and then finding a large partner base, so he can technically become a seller. He has a lot of buyers available because, as Prabhat right in the upfront shared, that you have sellers and buyers both on this large community platform. And technically, you are very easily discoverable, which means you have a lot of net new partners. It's inter-partner buying, I'm saying right now, which can happen from a large stockist to many partners can happen. This is one of the business models, besides obviously the end customers who can come. Obviously, the huge liberty in terms of choosing finance options, delivery options, and so on and so forth. And thanks, Shiva. Bishan, this is to you. You are the iconic vendor in the country, so proud of Zoho's successes. And you have been at the pioneer in terms of bringing a lot of solutions and services for various end customers. Partner ecosystem has been selling. How do you see ONDC can add value in terms of expanding the business for you in the country?
Sure, Atul. First of all, kudos to Mr. Koshi. I think it's a great adventure, I would say. But more than adventure, I mean, we keep talking, whenever you meet friends, talk about our experiences of traveling outside of the country 10, 15 years back. And now, you look at the payment infrastructure in most countries, then you look at what it is in India. You absolutely feel very proud. So there is a template that it can be successful with the UPIs and lots of other good things we are doing on DPI side. I think ONDC can take it to the absolute next level, with so many permutations, combinations available. Now, coming from Zoho's side, just thinking about the procurement process, if I look at currently that happens for businesses, the steps people would follow more or less similar. You go across, do some research on the internet, and finally you expect that whatever you want to purchase, there are some catalogs available, make it easy for you. May it be for services, may it be for products. Now Zoho, being a SaaS provider, see most of our services or products are already cataloged. Some require, heavy intervention on the services. Some require less. So I see that journey for Zoho being cataloged here. I think it would be a low friction journey for us as a product vendor. But see, as a business, I think that's true for services, that's true for products. We are looking for two key things. We are looking to scale, all of us. And to scale, you require, on one end, you need to have the discovery. And on the other end, you need to have fulfillment also. Everybody knows about Zoho, but I don't have any service providers who can really do the last mile job. It doesn't work. So those are the two key things for us to scale: discoverability and also scaling the fulfillment side. Now with ONDC, the network, once it reaches the potential, I think that would be really, really big value to us as a product organization. But on the other end also, finding partners, training them, scaling them also is an equally daunting task for us. So with product discoverability, that discoverability by the channel also increases. And the other, in terms of fulfillment challenge that I see, there are many partners across country who want to sell Zoho, but they're not officially partners with us. Now, with a network like ONDC coming into play, you could be working with somebody like Civics. You could be working with somebody who is authorized to distribute Zoho. So I think that challenge also would be overcome to a certain degree. And if our service providers also are able to catalog, at least for some of our products, in the kind of services they can, we were talking about Zoho Books yesterday, which is our accounting solution. So it is almost prescriptive what you need to do in configuring Zoho Books for an SME or a mid-sized organization. So if these services also can be cataloged, then I see from Zoho's point of view that can be a great multiplier for Zoho being on the ONDC side. Thank you.
A great comments, Bishan. So I think very clearly Bishan has stressed on discovery and scalability. And I think Mr. Koshi, right, the very first point in his presentation, if I remember rightly, it's the democratization, which is the scaling of all the products and services which this platform gives. Great. This question is to the table. Anybody can answer, but I'm asking on behalf of the partners. Now, if there is a deficiency in service, like today, if you don't like the product, you can return the product, or you're not happy with the service, then what do you do? So what do you think are the remedial capabilities or standard service and quality issues if they get created? Then how the platform ensures the trust and responsibility to make sure that the deficiency in the service is not affecting the end customer confidence? So maybe anybody can.
Yeah. I mean, this is one question that I get asked very often. And so I'll give you a very brief answer because I have a very long answer. And that is very well articulated and put up in our LinkedIn site as well as in the public. It's a discussion paper. We got a lot of interesting feedback too. So I'll recommend that you look at. This all comes from our mental model, which is completely stuck in, and a platform which is giving integrated service. All of you are businessmen. Just ask yourself, do you know any other business other than e-commerce where every building block is handled by one company? No, all of them are nicely stitched together with protocols and standards to give a seamless consumer experience. What is Virgin Mobile? Nothing but a CRM and a billing software. Everything else is unplugged. I'm sure you all know that telcos started by trying to do everything by themselves, and they realized there could be experts who could do towers better than the telco company. Then you say, no, how about e-commerce is very different. Because we all know about a multi-billion-dollar catalog marketing. What was it?
Yeah.
It was e-commerce in digital form.
True.
What is e-commerce doing? Those catalogs became digital, more efficient. Instead of putting everything in a cover, you can send it. It worked very beautifully. So that's why we have a wrong assumption. It is like in the think about the physical market. We have the 5-star hotel charge. You go there, they charge you $500 for a coffee, and if you do like this, they'll change the coffee.
Yeah.
And you go to the dabba wala, he'll charge you 25 rupees, and if you don't like, saab, aapko chahiye to le lijiye, nahi to mat lijiye. And people like us who can afford both are different consumers in both the markets. What this is, it will mimic the digital world will become the physical, mimic the digital world. And what it will also do, one big thing, is that because of digitization, we have humongous amount of audit trail. The very strict the club rules. It's not a flea market. So anybody, whether it is a seller application, buyer application, seller, there's a certain due diligence, it comes. Their performance is continuously tracked and published with respect to how they treat the customers. There's if I have a complaint, I can go to the buying platform who will seamlessly take it to the selling platform and see and explain the thing. And there is a very clear audit trail of what I asked, what was offered, what is the condition, with return, without return, everything is there. And so when you have a lot of evidence-based solutions with a large number of parties, and as you know, when there are many, many smaller players coming, their willingness to support is going, to honor their word is a lot more, while there are, of course, some unscrupulous players. You ask any banker, ask him where is his NPS the highest? Not as SSGs, but as high-end, hundreds of crore business. Because for the small guy, once it's lost, it's gone. And that's why we also have now a fully automated dispute resolution mechanism is being implemented. As of now, what we have done is ODR is already published. And only thing it's not fully automated. Maybe by January, February, most of them will complete the automation. It means that if I have at the end a dispute, there will be online ODR coming in who will be able to suck in all the relevant audit trail and then a fact-based judgment. Not like when you go to the consumer court today, it's tu mein chalta hai. So these kind of things will eventually transform. Just giving you the last line to give you confidence of this transformation, because I can see I'm a gray-haired old man, and I've been in many of this transformation like this. 25 years ago, when Indian capital market, we used to do a peak trade of 400 crores a day at the time of Harshad Mehta. That was not 25, much more than that. But today we do 200,000 crores worth of transactions. Those days we used to have 25% of problems in the settlement. Today, if you have 25%, the country will come to a standstill. What made it possible is the digitization and the excellent audit trail and traceability and the good discipline. So that's how I think the commerce will transform.
Thank you, Mr. Koshi.
If I can add just a couple of points.
Please go ahead.
See, fundamentally, there are going to be three stakeholders in any transaction. There's going to be a buyer platform that gets the buyer onto the network. There is a seller who has certain services and products to offer, and then there is a seller aggregator, which is the via media for the seller to get onto, a small seller or a small partner to get onto the network. Between the three of them, the responsibility lies. And the fact that there is a very comprehensive issues and grievances management protocol that has already been established, at least in the B2C space, and it's only going to go better when it comes onto the B2B space. With the audit trail, it is going to be simple for the buyer platform, which is answerable to the buyer, to pick up that concern of the buyer and amplify it to the seller network aggregator or to, for that matter, to the end seller. And because of the terms and conditions of every trade being made transparent upfront to the buyer at the time of placing an order, it can very easily be established as to where exactly that problem lies. Okay? So, be it willful delinquency or be it a issue of a misunderstanding can very clearly be addressed right up front, because this is how this entire network is going to flourish. It is not going to be kept under wraps. So within the three of those stakeholders, either one of them will pick up the baton and then start working. And it's not always going to be a complaint coming in from the buyer side. It could also be complaint being risen from a seller side saying, now I have already supplied, but I have not received my payment because there was a certain amount of confidence that was given to me that if I fulfill this transaction, I will get paid. So at that point in time, it becomes the buyer platform's responsibility to basically address that issue. So it's very clearly laid out, and each of these network partners are already a signatory to a contract which imposes itself on every network partner that forms a part of that particular transaction. So it is not left to the whims and fancies of any one entity. It's very clearly defined as a protocol.
Great, I think. Thank you, Mr. Koshi, and thank you, Prabhat. So I think both the senior gentlemen have very clearly articulated that it is not at the whims and fancies which today may happen in today's scenario. Sometimes you create a ruckus and it happens. There's a very strong audit trail which is available. And you would be able to clearly identify as to where the deficiency is, basis the contracts which were coming on the ONDC platform and the responsibilities which different service providers would take. I think brilliant example he shared of Harshad Mehta and what the country is today. I mean, and country cannot run if the digitization is not. And I think ONDC as a platform is making sure that rather than individual decision making, it is the platform which is going to guarantee this comfort to the consumer when he's buying from the platform. So the great statement. Thank you so much. Maybe, there's a question, again, from the channel community point of view, I'd ask that today if you go, and I'm trying to compare with the, today's purchasing behavior, you go on a platform, one is the placing of the order, and second is the payment part. I mean, you have to go and swipe your card or, anything. So is there a possibility in B2B business where typically credit is a function, and people expect some kind of a credit is available to them? Is that a possibility, or through some providers of, institutional financial organizations or agencies where they can support some transactions where they can get credit and the buyer can actually avail of the credit from the supplier when he procures? Is there something possible like that?
The answer is, if you ask me today, if it's already up and running, no. But if you look at credit or insurance, these are all just additional building blocks of transaction.
True.
So they are just service providers, and as I mentioned earlier, we have already published the specification for the financial products, and at least 40, 50 of them are under various stages of integration. Okay. Probably you seeing being, and the first one being given was the credit, and for the business as well as individual, at the small businesses, and the rest are coming, and the big business know how to handle themselves. So, but they're all coming. So it's a matter of few months where you will see all these things getting, in fact, yesterday I was discussing, just because you're all business people and might be interesting, when we were having a, debate among banks, financial institutions and governments all together, what are the kind of things possible? They said even somebody came with a very interesting innovation. It's just idea, and I'm supposed to think about it, but since it's a very interesting audience, I thought, said, can you even find out when there is a refund or some problem had happened? Is there a way in which the insurance can pay it immediately, and can there be an entity to whom this conflict or dispute get assigned, so that he can go and take very disciplined action, not just pay off, which itself will bring a new dimension to enforcement of discipline. I'm saying is people are already thinking about those kind of things, and what came as regulator said, let's try to refine a nice rule for that, because this become a public infrastructure in that sense. So these are the way it gets shaped up. So I'm just throwing open. Same thing could happen in finance and in insurance and so on. So
true. Thank you. You know, one more question which comes to my mind today is that, you know, how do you build the trust issues? You know, you have ratings and you know this is a very good seller, this is a very good product, or, you know, some of those things, are those things available on the ONDC for sellers to, you know, get acknowledged, you know, that they are one of the best in
Multiple things are coming. The first and foremost under implementation is the network-wide scoring. Not today, if I'm a member of a platform, my scoring is in that platform. And if I leave it, it's gone. So what is all of them together, all the participants together and implementing the network-wide score, to begin with might be based on very simple elements of how they handle their grievance and so on and so forth. And we expect it to continuously evolve, which is being driven by, because a common infrastructure being done by somebody like ONDC, okay, with the participation of everybody. And we are also trying to make this an API-able stuff so that you may come out with, take this and take some additional information, create another one, a new badge. So we are thinking that badging will become a service.
Okay.
For somebody like Dun & Bradstreet has come already announced that they're going to give a DUNS number to every entity who is joining as a seller, which is going to be a free offer from them, and then probably define a very specialized product for the ONDC seller, something called a DUNS badge. You know, they already have them, or find one. So these are the kind of, tomorrow Experian will come. So the thing is, this is all opening up this. So the way I look at enable, these are nothing but a variety of tags, an array of tags. Some will establish it, some will not establish. So when it comes to export, somebody from Singapore may be comfortable to look at a Dun & Bradstreet badge than a QCI badge. Probably in 5 years' time, QCI may establish itself as an establishment. So the beauty of open network is the innovation possible. And that's what we need to be sort of aware of and plan for.
Portability of ranking from a buyer of a seller, even the buyer platform, because they're answerable to their buyers, they are now scoring sellers on their execution capability.
Okay.
Right? So, and I'll take an example from the consumer space. There are 100 orders that go to a seller. If the seller has an order fill rate, which is an order fulfillment rate of more than 90%, the buyers are keenly watching every seller in terms of their execution capability. So the network, by default, prompts people to start looking at performances of each and every network partner, because at the end of the day, the consumer has to be happy. And if the consumer is happy is when the next order is going to come in. Right?
Understand.
So it is, today ONDC is all about net new orders coming to sellers, but ONDC is going to be all about repeat orders coming in, not for one category, for multiple categories from the same buyer platform. So it's an osmosis that keeps on happening between two parties.
Okay.
So each network partner has its own set of responsibilities to look at their constituent sellers or their constituent buyers in terms of what's their behavior on the network and try and promote business practices and prompt execution. I think that's a very, very big advantage that an open network brings in. Like
yeah,
this.
Mohan.
I just wanted to add one critical thing, right? The elephant in the room today is that not many channel partners are onboarded or want to be themselves onboarded on the traditional e-commerce platform purely because, not because as a seller, but when they sell something to their enterprise customers or a B2C, the defaults or the issues and challenges faced by the channel community today are far and vast. There is too much of high-handedness from a larger platform, larger e-commerce players. And that is why ONDC of sorts is going to democratize that. And maybe if you look at it, how do we validate that this particular corporate or this particular customer of mine, when they are coming through ONDC, there is a significant validation from a customer's point of view. Yeah, because there is open-ended credit, there could be aspects of, whether there is a genuinity from the customer standpoint, because many times people have experienced on Flipkarts that they sell their produce and then it says that, oh, I received a stone and something else. So there's a lot of validation that has to go in from a customer standpoint.
Yeah, Bishop.
Just a thought on we on the B2B side, we already have these Arivas and your other in a way aggregators of many these places where you need to do registrations, of course, but they already have some templates in terms of the vendor rating. How is a vendor? I mean, I have seen reports in your supplier portal sometimes where at what point something was released from somebody's inventory to how much time did it take. So very, very evolved reports. So this can, in fact, be part of the buyer portal or maybe an individual entity. So I would think that should be a problem that can be solved, that can be scaled also with some of these models which are already there. So.
Yeah. Great. I think I have a couple of questions still which are coming to my mind and I'll raise. So if any of a partner wants to get onboarded on ONDC, how simple, difficult is it, and what are the steps?
Okay, so it depends upon what size and scale that he is operating, and probably his strategy. Somebody may decide that I'm going to do a small, limited entry, learn it, and then expand myself. So he could work with any of the selling platforms that are already available in that segment. Or he may decide that I'm reasonably big, I want to do myself. So to help all these things, that every Tuesday we do what we call a business briefing. So if you send a mail to even my mail ID or team@ondc.org, somebody will send you a link. And then that's a long 1 hour session where a lot of people like you come and ask questions as a first step. Then on a Friday, I think there's a technical briefing. And the whole protocol, everything is actually publicly available.
Yes.
To be very honest, somebody is willing to put in hard work, they can get it. But surprisingly, I don't know whether, the other day, 3 kids from Bits Pilani, without having any single session was completed, developed a platform, came and did for testing. Okay. So it depends, but everybody may not be that. But the point is, there's a continuous hand-holding support that we give. And then based on whether you're the techie guy, you want to integrate, or you want to know the etiquettes of business, we even launched what they call the ONDC Academy, which is like a complete course on these elements, and it is continuously being enhanced. If it's just knowledge, you do it free, it's there on YouTube. If you want a formal certification, as employment, we have tied up with National Stock Exchange, who has an NSE Academy, which is giving all kinds of support. So they'll even formally issue a certificate after a test. So these are the things which are continuously evolving. And just to add one more point, recently McKinsey came up with a study. It's a bloody large document. I don't know whether you share it with everybody. No. If you're interested to understand how this industries could change, maybe looking at it's available download in the ONDC page. Recently, similarly, Ander came with a report saying what is the kind of opportunity. And many of the, like from JP Morgan to Goldman Sachs to ICICI, all of them are coming out with different perspectives. So based on the size and scale and industry domain you are, maybe it's worth to see how the whole life could change.
And there's huge amount of information available on the ONDC site, so you can keep on learning as to what new steps are being taken. So go to ondc.org, search on that platform. There is a huge knowledge bank that you can, as Mr. Koshi said, you can start looking at certain set of information, depending on what you're interested in, more on the technical side or on the business side. And of course, then you can also get to see the list of partners there, which you can potentially reach out to in terms of helping you on board, either which way that you look at it, be it a technology service partner or a seller network partner.
I just want to add a point of view. In the absence of ONDC today, the struggle that any OEM or the channel partners take, okay, especially in the B2B space, one is the choice is very limited, okay? And when I say the choice, that means even if you have to be onboarded as a seller, then you have only few choices of through whom you have to register.
Correct.
And then, especially for the channel partners, profitability is very, very important. Correct. If they have to cut off a large portion of your profitability just because you do not have a choice and have to go with someone, okay? And then also make profitable and be authorized vendor, because there's also in a B2B space, you also have this nuance of very unauthorized vendors also coming in, and then you have to establish and also compete with them. So that's what's happening today, which I'm hoping that the ONDC with a democratization will basically address that, so that it will encourage a lot of OEMs and as well as channel partners to come on board. And without impacting their profitability, they will be able to increase their discoverability and also ability to sell to a larger audience of the buyers. So that's something that I
think great points, Shiva summed it up so beautifully, because I think it's going to expand the business for all of us in a very, very big way, because it gets you a lot of new customers and new sellers on the platform and helps you, expand the play very, very significantly. And I think he touched one point which I may want to clarify more from a channel point of view. Mr. Koshi spoke right in the beginning two things. If you're a small guy, then you can come onto the platform through a seller aggregator. There are seller aggregators, which you may not have heard a terminology, but kind of a aggregation seller who's multiple small sellers coming through him onto the platform. He has done all the compliance and everything onto the platform, signed, and you can go. But if you are a large seller and you want to come directly, yes, you can, and that's where you can go through all the programs and teachings and trainings which are available. So both the options are available. You want to list one product, you want to list two products through an aggregator, go ahead. You want to add 10 more products, talk to your aggregator, and then publish the catalogs and take it ahead. So all that, I think, is very easily scalable. You can try, test, understand how it works, and then scale yourself. So I think वो चक्कर जूस अच्छा है तो 2 ग्लास पिएंगे, वो option भी available है, rather than straight going 2 glasses ahead. So I think great comments.
I'll just add very interesting thing, because I thought it's interesting to all of you guys. While we have started that only in a limited sense in the B2C side, what we have, wherever we believe that a common infrastructure, like we said now, network-wide score, ODR, online dispute resolution, another thing that we have implemented now is actually what catalog as a service.
Okay.
So what it is doing is that we are telling all OEMs, dump your catalogs or the links to the catalog into a central facility, so that anybody, any distributor, seller, etc., will have the original stuff that is coming. And for the OEM also, it's something really good. How many people they'll go and give? They know one central place to dump it. In fact, when it comes to grocery, even went one step further, because that is happening only time. So what we did is we scraped all what is available from here and there, put it one place and said, boss, this is not ours, but it's designed to make your life easy. I took it from people who are using it. And we told the OEMs, boss, this is unauthorized one. The moment you can't put a search, it's a completely online one we just launched. Whatever is yours, just dump. If you think that's not good enough, just delete and add your stuff. So this is going to evolve. I mean, it is going to be years to come. But I believe our idea, the reason I shared with you is that wherever that is a common infrastructure that is beneficial for the whole community, we are there to help. I mean, we just started some, and maybe a lot more could come in future.
I think great comments. So I think I would like to thank the esteemed panel for, taking time out and sharing their views and thoughts as to how this can benefit the industry. With this, I would like to conclude here. Thank you so much. Unless audience has any questions still, we can still take. Please go ahead.
I would jump in for a moment. I'm going to bring the microphone over to you. We have about 5 minutes remaining.
Okay.
And wanted to ask you to remain on stage for any questions or comments we have from the audience here. Simply stand up. If you would please, your name, company, before you start the question.
Thank you. My question is to Mr. Koshi. See, all the schemes which we have been comparing, Jan Dhan, UDI, everything has got some social obligation behind it. And some support from the statute was there. So can you hear it, me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now
so all the schemes, what we were mentioning, like Jan Dhan and others, they had social obligations linked with the object. And that is one of the main reasons for the success of those schemes. When we go to the ONDC, are we creating a Trivago for the Amazon, Flipkart and others, where my customer, if he goes and he doesn't get an offer, what the other matches over there, my customer is gone to them. So what is the social obligation for me? Then digitization of the product, there are 2 to 3 different things. One is the digitization of the individual seller, his cataloging, his product, what is the support behind it, and how we are going to compete with the larger ones over there. Because when you see the advertisements today in the newspaper, whatever offering in coming into festival season relates to only one thing, that's we are cheaper. There's nothing else. So when my customer, if I enroll in ONDC and my customer goes for any service or product, will it not be eaten up by the large companies who will be having a better offer than us? Thank you.
See, if you look at, you made a lots of statements. To be very honest, I could not understand half of it because of the word. It was not because your articulation was bad. That is because of the voice.
Yeah, same here. We could not
It was
fully
sort of
follow
sitting
through.
here. It was sort of. I'll be happy to chat with you, but only point that is there is, look at the whole world of commerce. There are different kind of sellers offering different kinds of services at different SLAs at different price points for the different kind of buyers. Some of them will have a larger appeal, some of them will have a smaller appeal. They all coexist. The same thing can happen here. And just because, somebody is big, one of the things that, what is sort of distorting our thought is that the strategy of walled gardens or proprietary platform is somewhere or other get me a large user base, then the world is mine. So you're willing to throw the shareholders' money, not the OEM's money sometimes, but shareholders' money, a lot of it, dump it and say that, now I have a captive customer, now I can sit pretty. I'm sure that you are experiencing that in many businesses here. Even ask a taxi driver what he's feeling today. But that is all because there is, at the end of it, you have the empire for yourself. But in open network, such kind of deep discounting will not work. It may trigger some thinking, and after some time, unless he has got billions of dollars which keep on pumping 1.4 billion people for every product at a discount from the OEM price, okay, then we are all happy. Then we will all shut up and then we'll be happy. That is not the world it is going to be. He will go bankrupt. So, the moment that guy is stopping the discount, the other guy will go, I'll do it at a better service at the same price. So the whole thing is because we have been corrupted in the last few years by the strategy of, if I use a more crass word, drug the buyer and pimp the seller. That is not the strategy that is going to work.
To your point, you made a point saying social obligation of the three examples. I tend to differ there. Okay. Digital public infrastructure is meant for the growth of the country and an economy as a whole. What ONDC has set out to do is to broad base the digital commerce infrastructure so that there are more participants that can come in, more sellers that can come in who did not have an opportunity till now to come in or were challenged by the fact that they had to do multiple onboardings on multiple platforms. It is an inclusive effort to broad base that entire business scenario. From a 6%, 7% penetration of overall commerce or contribution to overall commerce to maybe bringing it up to a 2x level or a 3x level over a certain period of time is what ONDC has set out to do. I still don't call it a social obligation. I call it a step in terms of contributing to the economy because there are so many small players who want to do business and who want to do business at a fraction of the cost than any other option that is available to them right now. I think that's the way one should look at it in terms, and to your point where you say that there is a large player who decides to come up with an offer and then probably take the market away from you, it is an evolution that will take time. Even those large platforms took 4 years, 5 years, 6 years for adoption of customers to happen. And they were being funded. This particular initiative will take time, but it will, the business will be faster, confidence building will be faster because they're going to be very clear stakeholders who have specific jobs to do in this entire piece. And each of them is looking at making sure that their contribution to this particular initiative becomes a success. Because each of them is doing their business. It is not philanthropy that is happening. So I would tend to, that's my perspective to your point.
Ryan, there's one question to you. Ryan, this way.
Ryan at the end on the left.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the final question. If you could stand up and identify yourself by name and company, and I will try to repeat if you can't hear it on the stage.
My name is Biren Shah. I am from Adit Microsystems, Ahmedabad. And my question related to the services platform. Typically, the large proprietary e-commerce platforms we see are really more geared for goods, products. And when there are services platforms, they are niche, separate. They are, again, their own proprietary platforms. So how well suited is ONDC for, let's say, selling of technical services? Or do I need to make a seller app for that? So can you guide on this side, this aspect?
Could you all hear that?
Yeah.
Services are very broad. Like I said, at the end of it, so long as you can create a catalog, it can be sold. So based on the kind of services, the word service is very broad. What it means to you, I can understand technical service. Logistics is nothing but a service. Plumbing is nothing but a service. A gig worker is nothing but a service. Or a contractor consulting is a service. So long as you can catalog that can be discoverable, and there can be priced, ready priced or a negotiated price as the case may be, and then they can do, and probably something like say that, I'm just making this service with so many doing some development, it's going to cost you 1 million rupees, but anything extra will happen, based on. All those things possible, that's how it will come. If it is a one-to-one, very bespoke kind of product, then network is not needed. So the key thing is a catalogable service relevant to a broad cross-section, then we can find solution. Maybe some of you may come out with smarter solution for specialized services too.
That's great. Just by way as a final word and to conclude here, I wanted to do a rapid-fire question to all of you on the stage. 15, 20 seconds maximum. Each of you, if you could tell me what most excites you about this opportunity. From your perspective now, changing your hat, no longer moderator, but as a national distributor, as a systems integrator, as a vendor, what most excites you about the ONDC opportunity? Prabhat, if we can start with you.
Oh, well, I think from our perspective, possibilities are endless for you to stitch together whatever business value chain you intend to do. Whatever you look yourself as, whether you look yourself as a buyer or you look yourself as a seller, I think that's where I would see ONDC greatly benefiting you in terms of what type of role you want to play.
Opening a new world of possibilities. Bishan?
So even for us, possibilities are endless. The scale, I would say, both in terms of the end customers and channels that we can tap into. Both for fulfillment and selling. So that's what I look at, a true network for us.
It's all about the scale. Shiva?
Yeah, I'm seeing ONDC to be a revolution. Okay, in terms of what UPI did in the payments, I'm looking at ONDC to be a revolution in the e-commerce. But as UPI had a couple of events like a demonetization and the COVID, I'm looking at a positive event for ONDC to be really a scale and then mass in terms of what it can do to the e-commerce in the country.
This is a positive development that's going to be really a leap forward for us. Mohan?
I think as a channel community, this could be the greatest opportunity because, as one of the gentlemen asked, if we could do cataloging itself as a service, right? So that's a great opportunity. And, like whatever Urban Clap has done for services, we can configure something and build a platform and make it discoverable. So that's a huge opportunity ahead of us.
Right. Mr. Kushi, from a personal point of view, what most excites you?
And I'm saying there's a possibility of transformation because we are being a catalyst to transform commerce, transform an economy, and transform the country and transform the world.
Atul?
Now, I think it's rightly worded by so many of them, but from our point of view, there's a very large portfolio of products and services as a distribution house we carry. And I see that it's a humongous amount of opportunity for developed products, which I think Shiva touched. The less developed, which can come, and I think to Adit's question, which he highlighted, some services can come very quickly and then people can adopt, like a cataloging or anything, or even a small CRM as a service, which can help significant productivity to a lot of partners can come very quickly. We can put up some of those standard services which are there and see how the adoption happens. So I think it opens a lot of new vistas for us.
And that is the final word. I want to thank all of you gentlemen for joining us on stage, sharing your insight and experiences with us. I would like to recognize all of them and thank them for their contributions.
Thank you.
I have a few housekeeping announcements, but I would like to ask you to stay in the room, if you would please. Don't go far, because I want to bring you back up on stage for a group photo in just 5 minutes, okay? And then I know I lose you for the rest of the day to conversation, so promise me you won't go far.
Sure.
Just one more pitch I want to do for the workshops that are going to be running this afternoon. I wanted to ask Cisco and Zoho would join me on stage. Who is organizing your workshops this afternoon? Yeah, if you would join us on stage. I'm sorry, I can't see in the room. The lights are too bright. And Bishan, do you want to say a bit about your workshop? Okay, so the idea for these sessions, we have booked 1 hour, and they're going to be starting at 3 o'clock with Cisco. Zoho will be immediately after at 4 o'clock. They're going to be taking place in what is officially called the party room, but this is our workshop room. It is just next to where we have the lunch. Around the pool area, there is a breakout room for our workshops. Starting at 3 o'clock, we're going to be hosting the Cisco workshop, and at 4 o'clock, we're going to be hosting for Zoho. It is open enrollment. We know many of you have already expressed interest and signed up, but there are spaces available. The idea is it's a smaller group interactive conversation to do a little bit of a deeper dive in some of the product, services, and solutions as they relate to channel. I'll let you say in just 1 minute, 90 seconds, I'll give you, if you can pitch the workshop.
Thank you. This is Murli here. I'm from Cisco. From the SMB opportunity standpoint, I'm sure you all agree and acknowledge from the kind of growth that we can expect. Cisco, we are very well positioned in terms of our complete solutions, and then created a clear 4-pillar strategy to address the business outcomes and then the customer SMB experiences. These 4 pillars are 1, remote SMB, hybrid SMB, smart SMB, and the secure SMB. These are the 4 pillars, very simple. And then if you wanted to know more, please visit our demo booth, and then we are happy to run through all the solutions. Now coming back to our workshop in the afternoon, we would like to double click the secure SMB more, and we would like to have in terms of what enablement activities that we can do, what is the portfolio is available, what kind of programs that will help you to drive more profitable, and overall tools that will help from end to end, right? So all these things will be discussed, and it is open forum, and beyond this, if you would like to have more discussions, it's a great opportunity for all of us to have the engagement and then take it to the next level. Thank you so much.
So again, that's the idea. It's an open forum, an opportunity for you to talk, but also hear from the channel partners in return. Okay, that will be taking place at 3 o'clock in the party room. Immediately after, at 4 o'clock, is the workshop by Zoho. This was a last-minute addition by popular demand. You see a QR code up on the screen here. If you did want to enroll and express your interest right now, you are welcome to do so. It is also, I believe, still available, so we do allow for open enrollment. If you're interested, at 4 o'clock, make your way to the party room.
Thanks, Ryan. Just quickly, so what we plan to do at 4 is pick up a simple Zoho product and do a quick walkthrough. And also, since we were talking about ONDC, we also want to see, can we help you create that cataloging of service we were talking about for a simple product on Zoho, which would be, very simple. It's almost an entry into Zoho ecosystem, a small business CRM that any business can use. So we think that will be appropriate. So look forward. Please do scan and register if you're interested. Would give us a sense of, a number of people. But you're also welcome to walk in the last moment. Happy to host you there and walk through things. Okay. Thank you. Look forward.
Thank you both. I think it's important because there is so much going on here, one-on-one meetings, conference, networking, that we call out the opportunity for the interactive workshops. One more time, Cisco at 3 o'clock and Zoho at 4 o'clock. Okay. That is the conclusion of the conference. You can make your way outside now for some light refreshment. We continue with one-on-one meetings. The lunch will be taking place downstairs the same location we met yesterday, if you were with us. We have one-on-one meetings and workshops taking place throughout the afternoon, and we will be coming back here again at 7:30 this evening for the start of the gala dinner. We have put out the word that those of you who have brought some traditional attire, those of you who would like to dress up for the gala dinner, we encourage you to do so. It's just one more opportunity for us to come together and sort of celebrate as a channel and to be with friends, partners, and peers. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here this evening. Thank you.